All right. So I have a question today about the gates in human design. And that's my personal favorite part. I think I've learned the most about myself through that. It's actually the part when I looked at a chart that I was most interested in. And I think all of it is very important, but it was difficult for me when I first got into human design because traditional human design doesn't teach you about the gates first thing. That's about halfway through the book, both books that I have. And there's this other foundational piece, which is cool, and it's helpful, believe me, knowing your type. The person who asked me, she is a manifester, and so I'm going to use her chart as an example. And so her energy type is about creation, just pure initiation and creation. And so I want to give her gratitude because as a generator, I don't have the initiating faculties the way that a manifester does. And a manifester is going to have a connection from a motor. And so the motors in human design are the heart center, the solar plexus center, the root center, and the sacral center. And manifestors do not have sacral energy, so they will not have a sacral defined. So what they're going to have is they're going to have a connection from one of these motors to their throat. And because of that, they have this ability to just initiate things. And so a great example is literally this friend literally saying to me, hey, I'm interested in learning about the gates, and here I am making this video. So the gates are really cool. And so basically that was what I was really into as well. That's the part that I got into. And so that led me down an interesting path where I spent a lot of time studying the I Ching, and I love the I Ching. I think it is so cool. It's similar to tarot. You use it and it helps reflect kind of where you are and what maybe energies are affecting you in this moment, or however you use tarot, you can use I Ching in the same way, and ways that you can call in the I Ching. I know there's something to do with sticks, which I've never done, but I used to practice a lot way before I had cards, with flipping 3 coins 6 times, and depending on how many heads or tails, it'll make a hexagram, and then that will show you the current energy of the moment. And then recently I actually got a deck of just the 64 I Ching hexagrams, really, really simple. But I use that a little bit more now. It's just a lot easier than the coins. The coins are fun though, and a good way to do that. And so after that, I took some human design classes, and I was introduced to the gene keys, which is literally a way to have a foundation with the lines into human design. And so I think that's what I'm just going to share a little bit about using this chart and just attempting to give a really simplistic overview and trying not to go into too many nitty-gritty details for you. So when you start with the lines, you're going to start with your conscious sun. And so your conscious sun, I mean, this person's a Libra, she knows she's a Libra. I know I'm a Gemini. People watching this, they know when they were born, they know what their sun sign is, right? Everyone knows that. And so this is it. This is your life's work. This is why you're here. This is what's up. And so the each sun has a gate associated with it. So hers is gate 46, which is coming off of her G center. And the G center is about our identity, our love, and direction. So her life purpose is probably going to deal with, I mean, this is a good example. Because she's open here, you know, her purpose, her life's work is probably going to be about like helping guide other like people as well, you know, other people. And I think like she literally did that, where she like was like, hey, you know, like that's cool. So this energy, this is the I Ching definition of it. Pushing upward, the gate of the determination of the self, good fortune that may be perceived as the result of serendipity, but derives from effort and dedication. So that's something for you to reflect on. If you have that energy anywhere in your own chart, you know, that is something for you to reflect on. And every planet is like differently nuanced. But the gene keys would tell her, I'm not familiar with this. So her life purpose is about delight, and that is the gift of this gate 46 of the determination of the self. It's about delight, and finding things that delight her, and then, as she did with me, you know, reflecting on, hey, like, this is something you enjoy, this is something I know you want to share with us, and maybe you just need some direction. And so thank you for giving me some direction. So her life work is about delight, and in order to bring that into form fully, she's going to experience the shadow of seriousness, and she's going to notice this all the time. So your sun energy, like, you're just going to notice this all the time. This is you. This is the one, like, when you're sitting alone, you're really going to like focus in, and like how you bring that into the world. How are you bringing delight, and then the acidic frequency of this is ecstasy into your experience. And the way that you do this is by accepting this shadow, and the shadow of delight and ecstasy is seriousness. And there's always two extremes to the shadows. The repressed version, so when she's repressing her delight, she's going to experience frigid. So all repressive natures are, in one sense or another, frozen. Frigidity here is used not so much in the sexual sense, but in a much broader context to describe the freezing of one's sensuality. These people will hide from life out of fear of their own bodies. This entire channel, so she had gate 29, and some of you might, the channel 46 and 29 is about loving the body. So if you do not like your body, your vital energy will turn sour. Such people lose touch with the juiciness of life. So she's going to watch for that. And if she's ever experiencing this like frigid, frozen, denying her sensuality self, she's going to then invite maybe a little bit more of the reactive nature, which is like frivolousness. And frivolity is an overreaction to seriousness. But again, if you're like overly repressed in this form, you want to like add a little bit of the action. But if you're noticing then too much of this, then you would call in the repressive form, right? So the reactive nature is an overreaction to the seriousness. They'll pretend to really enjoy life and from the outside appear to take nothing seriously. However, if you scratch the surface of such a person, you'll soon find that they are in fact highly emotionally reactive and harbor a huge amount of anger. The reactive natures are always rooted in anger. But learning to balance those two extremes, she opens up to the gift of delight. It is funny that our English word for matter is tied into the expression, it matters or it doesn't matter, because this is exactly what the gift of delight is based on, an inherent understanding that nothing really matters except life and love. Therefore, at a higher frequency the codon ring. So there's other gates associated with this idea of matter. The codon ring of matter might also be known as the codon ring of no matter. At higher frequencies, your attitude becomes much lighter as you go through life. And I do experience this with this person a lot. They definitely find joy in what they're doing, and I appreciate them so much for that. And so the next energy that we'll work with, though, is always going to be directly opposite your sun. So directly opposite your sun is the earth, right? And like traditional astrology doesn't put the earth into it, which I think is an interesting thing. And I think is why I really even enjoy human design, is it's literally like, but the earth. And, you know, how do you bring this sun to earth? And you need that balance, you know, like I'm literally imagining my sun in the middle of its universe, but like we all are aware that we're sharing this space with other suns in their own little universes. So we need the earth to ground us. And so this does create a bit of a challenge. This is like the challenge for your lifetime. And so they're always directly opposite, right? So I have gate 45 in the sun, and gate 26 is the opposite of gate 45. And so my challenge deals with dominance and pride. Whereas for this chart with gate 46, the shadow of seriousness, we have gate 25 being its grounding. And the shadow of gate 25 is about constriction. And so what you'll notice is that these two themes really work together. So constriction and seriousness, if you're like constricting yourself in any way, this also is going to be coming off of the G center for you. So I always find it interesting also to notice, like, I mean, how are these energies interacting with one another? You know, the G center is about the liver, and so both of these are coming off of the same center. So even though the center is open, they definitely have an understanding of one another. Whereas I can show you mine is a little bit different. My sun energy comes off my throat center, which is defined, and my challenge energy comes off my heart center, which is undefined. And they do connect, but I need gate 21 at the very least. And I don't have that. And so like learning that simple thing for me was helpful. And just noticing, I was like, you know, some of these other things I'll be like, okay, but I understand that this gate has a connection to this center, but like the mind can't be figuring this center out. Like while this energy in my mind can come down and help out, it like the mind, what my mind's doing doesn't have control over that. That's like a little bit deeper, but I think like that goes into how you can play with, you know, these gate energies and like starting to like understand how they work in your body. And then what like you can start reflecting on these deeper meanings of the gates. And so you're bringing this gift of delight into the world, and you're grounding it through this gift of acceptance. And so acceptance is about accepting love. Again, your life is about life and love. The path of love is the path of acceptance, which is not a technique, but more of a seeing. In order to accept something about yourself, and especially something uncomfortable, it must first be recognized. I think we do a lot of this. And I think human design helps me with that. And it can help you too, because then you start to like be like, okay, so the way that she gets to this acceptance is she learns about this shadow of constriction. And this shadow of constriction is broken into the repressive form of ignorance and the reactive nature of coldness, right? And so noticing ignorance and noticing being cold and learning to balance those two, learning to accept them, because that's a big part of it. You have to accept that ignorance exists. And maybe that's the challenge, right? Because I watched this video today. I watched this video and it was this guy and he was on a plane and he was like on his way to Jamaica. So there were like a ton of Black people and this white dude screaming the N-word over and over and over again. And I'm like, why though? Like what is the point of this? And like, of course it was just like, whoa. And so maybe being on Earth, we have to accept, it is a 3D, right, experience. So there's going to be ignorant people, there's going to be cold people, but like, how do you, this individual with this chart, knowing that, accept it? Accept that love. And the siddhi of this is universal love. I love its title, The Rose and the Chalice. Like, I'm really loving that. So the 25th siddhi is a special siddhi, whether it happens, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm feeling that energy. Zach had this. Zach had this whole channel. So, not to like change the subject, but here I am, manifesting generator. I've got lots of different things going on. I got all my projects and they're all coming into union. But yeah, wow. Anyway, so whether it happens to be within your hologenetic profile or not, it is a really special siddhi, and it is inside all of us. And I think that's important to remember with this, even in your openness, right? Alexis, we've been talking a lot about this open G center. And just because it's open doesn't mean you don't have like a sense of identity or a sense of love or direction. It is just something that like is a little bit more open. And you're really going to like know it based on what is defined and like focusing on what is defined, especially when you're alone. Like, you're not going to be like sitting in all of this energy when you're alone. You're going to be sitting in what is defined. And these are defined. And so working with this not self-themed question, if you're looking for love and direction, that's when you can come back to yourself, which is everything that's defined. Gates, centers, all of that included. Wow. Behind the mystery of the 25th gift lies the mystery of suffering. And as we have seen through the 25th shadow, it is a theme integral to the evolution of human consciousness. Damn. Oh my God. It was about the sacred wound. Like, I can't not think about Zach, you guys. Like, I literally have to. Like, I'm sorry. This is too good. Maybe I shouldn't. Whatever. What year was he born? 89. I guess I could. Okay, so I am going to use this as a moment to even go a little bit deeper into the gates. Like, if I do lose you, obviously we'll loop back. But this really made me think of Zach. And so the 25th gene key has a close relationship with the 22nd gene key, which I have in my unconscious sun. And the unconscious sun is the energy that like comes in and like helps you with this challenge, right? So like, you have this challenge, you're going to have it always in your life. So the manifestor chart is dealing with the challenge between constriction and seriousness, right? And I'm dealing with the challenge between pride and dominance. And the unconscious sun energy is the breakthrough energy that helps like you see the solution to that challenge and see like the harmonization of it. And I have that in gate 22, which is connected to this gate 25, which I said I was like feeling this and it was making me think of him. Oh my god. It's too much, but it's everything. So he has the whole channel. Design of needing to be first is what that whole channel creates. And boy, did this man need to be first. I would call him out for this all the time. I was like, oh my God, you just like need to be first. And he'd just be like, and like he was. So he has gate 25 though, in a very, very important gate. And so the gate of your unconscious Mars, so that's the red column is unconscious stuff. That gate deals with your, get this, your conception point. It deals with like the wound that you are going to experience in this life at conception. And so you'll know what your wound is based on the decimal number. So you'll have a point and it'll be a number 1 through 6. And Zach's was a 4, which is about rejection. And that is really interesting. And so, yeah, we can look at these. Gate 1 is about repression. Gate 2 is about denial. Gate 3 is about, which I have, is about shame. So I have a shame wound. Gate 4, as we said, is about rejection. Gate 5, which this chart has, is about guilt. And gate 6 is about separation. And so you can kind of reflect on that. That's going to be like very deep. Like you don't need to go like dealing all with your all of that right now. Like really the focus is on you, on why you're here, what that challenge is. And then I'm also going to give you these two because your obviously radiance is what this gate is called, is different than mine. And so your breakthrough for this challenge between the constriction and the seriousness is about stillness. And so you'll notice this energy, it deals with your well-being. So like if this particular, and this is unconscious, so like this is something you're gonna have to like become aware of. You're gonna be like making yourself aware of. But you'll notice the shadow of it in your well-being. And so for you, that shadow is stress. And so if you're experiencing stress, feeling stuck or restless, that's a cue probably that you're needing to listen to your body a little bit more. And again, being able to focus on your openness and getting out of that when you're alone is really helpful to getting into your body, and what you have energetically. And what the planets are doing right now is going to be affecting you too. So knowing where they are is helpful, and you can do that on my body graph, and you can just do a just now, and you'll see, okay, like this is still open, this solar plexus, but like there are some energies like at play. So like if you're like feeling some stuff in your solar plexus, like you could be feeling the planets, and just know that that's not you, and you do have it connected. So you are experiencing the channel of recognition right now. And that's just with the moon in this moment, and it's about to move. So you'll have this open again in a minute. But that's always good to know. But really honing in on what's yours and where it lives in your body, right? So gate 46 and 25 here at your open. G center, gate 52 now. So your well-being is gonna deal with this energy coming off your root. And the root center is where stress is. So, you know, noticing things that add to your stress levels or make you numb to your life experience, making you feel stuck. And, you know, the way to work through that is like learning to balance the two extremes a little bit. And so the gift of the 22nd gene key is restraint. And so, you know, people may tend to devalue this because of the way it sounds, but it does not, because it doesn't sound particularly exciting or dynamic. But this is a remarkable gift. It's about striking a balance between two extremes of energy, the energy of activity and passivity. No more fundamental to human life is what this is saying. It determines the source signature of all activity in the world. If you begin something from a place of fear, that seed of fear will infect every aspect of expansion of that activity. Wow. If the seed of fear is there at the beginning, then like a virus, it will pervade the structure and it will eventually bring that structure to the ground. And I think we can go into our conversation about this moon. So I'm making this during the Scorpio season full moon, and we just talked about how, you know, every moment is a new beginning. And so if we are bringing our higher selves into anything, then there is going to be a need to like release things that, you know, with this example, were created with a root of fear. You know, I can just take it back real simply to me cutting out like alcohol and caffeine, and like I'm like, oh, because like their root wasn't fully in alignment with my higher self, and they helped me get in tune with my higher self, but those things don't go anymore. Wow. So that's really deep. Stillness is the siddhi of this. Wow. Dang. I feel like I'm gonna leave it at that because that feels like a lot for me to digest. And so, as someone who's just maybe receiving this information for the first time, I don't want to like overwhelm you. So, yeah, let me know like what else you want to go into, or if you have any other specific questions. Otherwise, like maybe I'll just start trying to share in some way like this because I think this could be helpful. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording, but we'll talk soon. I hope you enjoyed that.